Welcome back to Curious Minds, where we unravel the mysteries behind everyday experiences. Today's topic is both personal and universal. Our brains are constantly deceiving us, often without our awareness. To kick things off, why do you think our brains are wired this way?
That's a great opener. Our brains evolved to process massive amounts of information rapidly. Instead of analyzing every detail, they rely on shortcuts or heuristics to interpret the world efficiently. This saves energy but leads to systematic errors.
So these shortcuts aren't flaws, but adaptations for survival? I suppose that's why we can react quickly in dangerous situations, but also why we sometimes misjudge harmless ones.
Exactly. Think of it like a phone running in battery saver mode. You get more life, but some features are limited or less accurate. The brain prefers speed and efficiency over perfect accuracy, which affects everything from daily choices to our sense of reality.
Let's dig deeper into these mental, shortcuts cognitive biases. Can you give us an example of a bias most of us experience without realizing?
One classic is the confirmation bias. It's our tendency to seek or interpret information that confirms our existing beliefs. For example, if you believe a certain food is unhealthy, you'll notice news stories supporting that view and ignore contradictory evidence.
That's fascinating. It sounds like our brains are constantly filtering reality, almost like editing a movie in real time. How widespread are these biases?
Extremely widespread. Researchers have cataloged over 180 cognitive biases, affecting everything from memory to perception. For instance, the availability heuristic causes people to overestimate the likelihood of dramatic events, like plane crashes, simply because they're memorable.
Now, shifting gears, let's talk about perception. Optical illusions are a fun way to see our brains in action. Why do we fall for them?
Illusions exploit the brain's predictive nature. For example, the Mueller-Lyer illusion tricks us into seeing two identical lines as different lengths because our brains factor in contextual cues, like arrowheads, to infer depth in a 3D world.
That reminds me of the Stroop Effect, where it's harder to name the color of a word when the word itself spells a different color. What's happening there?
It's a battle between automatic and controlled processes. Reading is so ingrained that it competes with color recognition. This conflict reveals the brain's tendency to predict and automate wherever possible, sometimes at the expense of accuracy.
Memory feels so real and reliable, yet research suggests it's surprisingly malleable. Could you walk us through how false memories form?
Memory isn't like a video recording. It's reconstructed each time we recall it. Factors like suggestion, imagination, and social influence can alter the details. In a famous study, people were convinced they'd been lost in a mall as children despite it never happening.
That's intriguing and a bit unsettling. Does this mean our memories are always suspect?
To some extent, yes. Every time we remember, we edit and embellish, sometimes inserting new elements. This flexibility is adaptive, allowing us to update information, but it also means two people can honestly disagree about a shared event.
Given all these quirks and errors, it might seem like our brains are broken. But as you suggested earlier, these lies actually serve a purpose. Can you elaborate on that evolutionary angle?
Certainly, many biases and perceptual tricks evolved to keep us safe. For example, quickly jumping to conclusions about potential threats like mistaking a stick for a snake was safer than hesitating. The cost of a false alarm is low compared to missing real danger.
So our mental shortcuts are like built-in safety features, even if they sometimes misfire. Are there situations where these features become bugs in the modern world?
Absolutely. In ancestral environments, these biases helped with survival, but today they can lead to poor decisions, such as overreacting to news headlines or falling for misinformation online. Understanding them helps us adapt to new challenges.
As we wrap up, it seems that understanding these quirks is empowering. How can knowledge of cognitive biases help us in everyday life?
Awareness is the first step. When you recognize biases like confirmation bias or anchoring, you can pause and question your assumptions. This leads to better decision-making, more empathy in disagreements, and less susceptibility to manipulation.
It's reassuring to know we can train ourselves to think more critically. Are there practical strategies people can use to guard against these mental pitfalls?
Definitely. Techniques like seeking diverse perspectives, slowing down before big decisions, and using checklists can counteract biases. Even simple mindfulness practices help you notice when your brain is taking a shortcut so you can choose a better path.